Well, welcome back once again to Me, Myself, and I Alone into the Breach. This is the playthrough of the included solo adventure in the Dragonbane core rules. Last episode I kept calling it the starter set. It's not a starter set, it is the core rules, the core box rules, and in it we have Alone and Deepfall Breach, which is what we are going through. We went through the first adventure, or the first part of the adventure. It's kind of an adventure in five parts rather, in which Thirdrum Shadowstone, our dwarf, is sent on a mission by Ingolfr Stonegaze, who is a wolfkin kind of seer/warrior who can see certain areas of the breach that Thirdrum is going to go into and could give him kind of a little preview of what he might encounter, which is why sometimes Thirdrum gets a boon on certain rolls because he's got Ingolfr's sort of vision to help him. Before we get into part 2, which is called The Cultist's Warren, Thirdrum Shadowstone has earned a whopping 5 gold pieces, which it turns out is not that much. He can't really afford much. What he could afford, though, when he went back to Outskirt, which I believe is the name of the local village or / town near the breach in the earth, he could afford a sling, because it occurred to me he had no missile weapons. Now, he sucks with the sling. He's only got a skill of 6, but he's got it just in case he needs it. He also bought another torch to replace the one that he lost, and of course 10 bandages, because in the solo rules of the game, you can actually try and heal yourself. If you're dying, you can also rest for more hit point recovery on a stretch rest with a healing roll. Anyway, so I bought some bandages just because I hopefully won't need them, but they might come in useful. Let us jump right into part the second of the Reforged Shard. And as a brief recap, what happened last time, of course, was that Thirdrum went into the breach in order to rescue Gorum, who was an orc leader who knew the location of the cultist lair, because ultimately what they are trying to do here is they're trying to reforge an ancient shard into a weapon, but they need to find that shard and they can't let it fall into the wrong hands. As Thirdrum has returned to Deepfall Breach from his brief sojourn into the local town of Outskirt, he comes back to the chapel on the side of the rift in the earth. And there Ingolfr Stonegaze, the wolfkin, tells him of what Thirdrum must next do. He says, "My gaze is fixed upon the cultist's subterranean outpost. There find ye Arioch. Arioch, blood and souls for my lord Arioch." Elric reference. "There find ye Arioch, the devotee of demons, who wears the Worldbreaker shard as a medallion. Wrest it from them, so that we may remake its power for good." So, there's a cult leader somewhere in the Delve, and he's wearing this Worldbreaker shard. Worldbreaker is the name of the weapon that they're looking to reforge, as a medallion around his neck. So, Thirdrum's got to get in there and take it from him. However, there is a threat, and of course what the threat means is that we have this handy dandy little die here. It starts on 1, and every time that something slows Thirdrum down for any sort of significant amount of time, the die will advance, and once the die hits 6, the threat will come to pass. And the threat in this case is, "The chasm is restless. Magma churns below. Be quick, lest the breach unleash its fury in your path." So what that means is when the threat activates, flowing magma will burst into the scene, causing chaos. That will be very bad. We will hope it doesn't happen. So the first image that Ingolfr has for Thirdrum is that of the stone maw. "This great earthen visage, I never know how to say that. Visage, we'll say visage. "This great earthen visage is twisted and warped by time and the chisels of cultists, evoking a fanged monstrosity whose gaping maw presents your entry point. I can see blood dripping from those wicked fangs, but I cannot say if this vision is real or prophetic." Nonetheless, we begin at the stone maw. So here, I'm using Venger's maps again. You can get a discount if you buy this stuff from Venger's website. Anyway, all that stuff is in the comment section below, so check that out. It's good quality stuff. Nonetheless, as Thirdrum emerges, this great earthen visage, so this is like a giant carving out of the stone, basically. "Twisted and warped by time and the chisels of cultists, evoking a fanged monstrosity whose gaping maw presents your entry point." Now, Ingolfr said, "I see blood dripping from those wicked fangs," somewhere here, "but I cannot say if this vision is real or prophetic." So, let us turn to our oracular solo tables, because of course these are what we use to determine all the stuff in the adventure. Let us assume that there is an underground river here, an underground stream, and there's this is a narrowing of an underground river. So there is essentially a ford, and in the middle of this ford, there's kind of a submerged stone that was maybe once the foundation of a large pillar, perhaps, but it's submerged. It still can be seen. You can see the water kind of flowing over it, but Thurdum has to cross the ford and enter the maw. So, first of all, I think because this is an underground river, I think it's going to be very, very slick. In order for him to get across safely, he's going to have to do a very careful kind of balancing act on this slippery series of rocks, which is going to be an acrobatics check. So here's the thing. His acrobatics is not very good. It's only 6, which means he's got to roll 6 or below in a d20. However, he could take his time to approach carefully. If he does so, that would give him a boon, but it would also advance the threat meter because he's taking his time. I think he actually is going to advance. We're going to advance the threat clock here to 2. He's going to roll with a boon. So he really takes his time to appraise the avenue of approach. Maybe he grabs some sort of old, piece of flotsam or jetsam or something, some stick or something, just to be able to use to tap ahead of himself, to find the clearest way forward, to keep his balance. So he is going to get a boon on the roll, which means he rolls twice. It takes the best result, but it takes time. So here we go, 6 or less. Oh, okay. Well, it's a good thing he took his time, because otherwise he would have failed. It might have got swept away down the river. So he is able to very slowly and carefully make his way across the underground river as it careens along through the darkness. But now he is at the entrance to this maw. Now, in Engulfer's vision, I see blood dripping from those wicked fangs, but I cannot see if this vision is real or prophetic. My first thought is, there's a trap here, that if he's not careful, those wicked fangs will maybe it's a falling portcullis or something, so maybe there's some kind of maybe there's some sort of loose stone or something like that, like a pressure plate that basically causes this trap to fall. But that's my assumption. I like that idea, so I'm going to make it likely that that's the case. So what I'm doing now, for those of you who missed the first episode, is I'm rolling on our oracular tools, and I'm tilting the scales towards positive. So my question for the oracle is this in fact a trap? Is that what Engulfer's vision shows? So I'm rolling twice, I'm taking the highest of the 2, and the answer is yes. So it is a trap. Now, again, Thurdum has been warned about this, so I think that he's not going to do a spot hidden, because that takes a lot of time, but he is going to do an awareness, just a quick kind of survey of the area. He knows he knows to be suspicious of something. He doesn't know exactly it's a trap. I'm going to give him an awareness roll. His awareness is 10. 7 is a success. So as he's moving forward, he does see something out of the ordinary that does indicate to him that this is probably a trap. And I think as he looks up, he can see that where the fanged maw of the leering face that's cut and carved into the stone, he can see that the fangs, the teeth of the maw, are in fact tipped with steel, and they do have sort of brown flaked off old blood in it. And he can see that there's a tiny little line in the rock above, in the darkness, in the shadow of the rock, that seems to indicate that this is like a slot for a portcullis to fall. So he's pretty savvy that this is probably a trap. So he's got a couple of options here. He could take the time to do a spot hidden to see exactly where that pressure plate is, because we know it's a pressure plate now. But that would again advance the tracker. Or he could just rush through and hope for the best. That would be bad. That would be bad. Well, if he does that, it's going to trigger the trap, which would mean that he'd have to do an evade roll. And I would even give him a Bane on that, because it's just a bad trap. So that's the trade-off here. Does he take the time to do a proper spot hidden check to actually find where the pressure plate is, or does he run through, do an evade check as that thing comes crashing down? I think that's what he's going to do. We don't really want that magma to erupt, so he is going to do an evade check with a Bane, which means he rolls and takes the worst. His evade is now 13. As he steels himself and rushes through the maw. And as he does so, he hears a click as his boot hits a particular stone, and there's a sound of sort of clanking metal as that portcullis comes slamming down and might catch him in its fangs. Does he get through? He has to take the worst of these rolls. Okay. Oh no! Well, it is a Bane, so that means he's got to take the worst of the roll. He can choose to re-roll by taking a condition, and I think he's going to want to do that. 13 or less. Oh no! He still had to take the worst because you got to reroll all dice when you push, including the Bane. So he does not do it. So not only is he going to take a condition, but he gets caught by that fanged portcullis as it comes slamming down, suffering damage. I'm going to call it moderate damage, but his armor will protect him. Oh boy, moderate damage, 2d6, but he's got 4 points of armor. He's going to, oh my god, 7 minus 4 is 3 damage he takes. Boom. So he runs through and just gets caught on the shoulder as this thing comes careening down, but he manages to blast through, but he is wounded and he has to suffer a condition, I think, angry. I think he's angry at himself for not taking the time to do that right, which means that any intelligence-based skill roll he makes is going to roll with the Bane. So he blasts through. He has made it through the first area, but it has damaged him. Not off to a great start. Now, the next area is unknown to Ingolfr Stonegaze, which means it is a randomly determined area. We roll a d20 to see what the area is. It is a 13. A narrow staircase. Okay. And 2 details. What are the details of this narrow staircase? 4 and 1. Contents and a danger. All right, the contents of this narrow staircase. Dusty tomes. Interesting. And the danger, 17. Scalding steam. Well, we know that there's magma in the area. Dusty tomes and a narrow staircase. Dusty tomes, scalding steam is a danger. All right. Okay, so that means to me, he emerges after following a few little warrens and tunnels and stuff. Remember that the Deepfall breach is really, it's like a maze, basically. It's a maze of different warrens and tunnels. But armed with his knowledge that Ingolfr gave him, Thirdrum knows roughly the correct way to go. So he comes to a stairwell going down, a narrow staircase. But on either side, at every interval of maybe 15 feet, there's a tiny little alcove cut out. It's almost like a little nook in the stone, like a little room. And on those, not really a room, though, it's only like a 5x5 area, opposing right and left. So 15 feet down the stairs, there's one on the right. Little 5x5 cutout nook in the stone. 15 feet past that, another one. And on into the darkness. In those nooks, Thirdrum could see, at least in the first nook, he can see that there is a stone table, a small, almost like a stone pedestal. And on that pedestal is a book of some sort, an old dusty tome. However, he also can see that there are cracks in the floor and in the wall, and even some points in the ceiling, where the whole place is sort of bathed in this kind of eerie, ruddy light, a light that he has seen before in episode 1, where he came across the maze that was surrounded by the magma chamber. So this might be an extension of that, because this scalding, hissing steam every now and then blasts forth into the narrow staircase at random and dangerously random times. So what he's going to do, first of all, is he's going to see if there's any regularity to the steam blasts, and if there is, to be able to kind of time his way through it. This isn't a spot hidden check, this is an awareness check, but awareness is based on his intelligence. Of course, his intelligence, now he's angry, still angry at himself, which means he rolls this with a Bane. So awareness is 10, he's going to take the worst? No, so he is unable to ascertain whether or not there is any pattern or regularity to these steam blasts, so that is not going to help him. So he just steels himself, puts his shield up, and hopes for the best as he moves down towards that first nook. So here's my question. Does he get hit with a blast of steam? Totally random. 1 to 3 is no, 5 to 6 is yes. Oh no. Oh no, that's an extreme yes, which tells me that as he's making his way towards that first tome, both from the floor under his feet and from the wall off to his left, remember there's a narrow staircase, so it's 5 feet wide, there's a pulsation of magma somewhere that pushes forth this steam, this scalding steam from 2 different directions. He is going to have to do an evade check with a Bane, because it was an extreme yes, in order to avoid taking damage from this as he leaps into the small little alcove where the tome is. Can he do it? His evade is 13. He does not do it, so he takes a further amount of damage. I don't think it's a huge damage. I think it's 1d6, but armor will not help him from this. Okay, not too bad. He's down to 9. Oh my god. So he leaps aside as the steam scalds a little bit of his beard, basically, but he leaps into this little alcove. Bad news, not going well so far. Now, here's the thing about this tome. Is this tome of any use? What do we know about this tome? I'm going to roll a d20. I'm going to roll attribute and thing on this. So the attribute is 16. The book is about peaceful 11. Peaceful leader. It's a book about a peaceful leader. It is a book about an ancient king in these lands once upon a time who had a very stable kingdom in this part of the land. And why is the tome here? Perhaps this was part of his tomb complex at some point. I guess my real question is, now that Thirdum sees this book, he's not going to take a lot of time to flip through it because we do not want to advance that threat meter. But he is able to sort of quickly page through it, and I think he's going to roll a languages test to see if he can see anything about it. Now again, languages is also an intelligence, and he is suffering a bane because of his current condition, and he fails. Unfortunately, his language is only 5. He is unable to ascertain if there's anything useful in this book whatsoever, but if he spends any more time here, that magma is going to get worse, so he has to leave this one behind and just keep going. Is it of any value? Does he take it? I think it's a big dusty tome, so it probably would be, I think it would be an encumbrance point slot. Yeah, you know what? He's gonna grab it just because it might be valuable. Maybe to Engulfer it's worth something. Who knows, but he's got this thing now. Now, he's gonna try and make his way down the stairs. He can't really run down the stairs because that's pretty dangerous. He'd have to do an acrobatics check, and he doesn't want to do that. He's already tried to ascertain if there's a pattern. We know there's not, so he has just gotta, again, he's gotta put his shield up and hope for the best. Here's the thing. Does he get hit again by a blast of steam as he traverses? He's not stopping in the alcoves now. He's going straight forward. He can't waste any more time here. I'm going to ask the question, does he get hit by steam? I'm going to tilt it towards yes, because there are many, many, many alcoves until the end of this stairway. So many, oh no, extreme yes. He gets hit again multiple times, which means 2d6 damage. I'm going to give him his armor on this, though. It is the steam. No, I'm not going to give him his armor on this. No, because it's steam. Oh boy, okay, he's going to take 2d6 damage. It's going to be, oh my god, he's going to take 9 damage. Okay, well that's going to put him to 0. As he's trying to make his way down this staircase, he keeps getting hit by this hissing steam that's blasting out of these natural vents in the stone caused by this pulsating magma from everywhere. He drops to the ground. As he's hit by this scalding thing. My question is, did he make it to the bottom? Did he make it out of this area? The answer is an extreme yes. So he did, thank God. Okay, so he collapses at the bottom of this staircase in this dark antechamber, basically leaving the steam-filled room or staircase behind him, but he's knocked down to 0. This is really, really bad. When you're knocked down to 0, you cannot perform any actions except trying to rally. Well, he's going to do that now. There are special solo rules for this, as well as healing yourself and things like this. He is going to rally himself, and rallying means he can keep going even though he's got to make death saves, because that's what's happening here. So that is my first question. Attempt to rally while at 0 HP without a bane to the persuasion roll. Well, this is kind of weird, actually, because normally if you're trying to rally yourself, you roll against your will with a bane. I think maybe that might be a misprint. So he's going to roll his will, but without the bane. His will is 11. Does he do it? Yes, he does. So he rallies for the first round. Oy, oy, oy. He has rallied himself, but he still has to make a death roll. A roll against con. It cannot be pushed. And these add up. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay, his con is pretty good. It's 13. The first one is 12, so he succeeds. Okay, so that's 1 success for death. His next action is he has got to do a healing roll. Thank God he got the bandages. In the solo rules, you are allowed to do this on yourself. So he's going to try and save his own life as he basically pulls out these, well, he's on a ticking clock here. So his first action was he collapsed to the ground. He did a death save. He tried to rally. He can keep moving. His next action is going to be digging through his pack to find those bandages because they're not immediately at hand. That's going to be another round to do it. He has to make another death save there, which he fails. That is 1 failure. But in that round, he does procure the bandages. In the next round, he's going to make the attempt. So he marks off 1 use of his bandages. So they're down to 9 uses. He's going to roll a 10 or less. He doesn't use a bane because he's using bandages. Come on this round. He fails. Can he push it? I think he has to push it. He's going to push it and take a condition. I think it's scared. Ooh, he's going to take scared. Oh no, and I forgot healing is also rolling with the bane because he has a condition marked. So this would have been a Bane. Well, his reroll is with a Bane. Come on, healing 10 or less. Okay, 6 and 5, 6 and 5, 6 and 5. He did it despite the pain, despite the condition. But he does take the scared condition. Can you imagine why? I think we know why. But he's able to bandage himself up, and by doing so, he stops making death rolls and recovers D6. How many hit points does he recover? 4. So he's at 4 hit points right now. But he has saved himself in this dark antechamber, still lit by the ruddy red light from above. But I think at this point he's going to have to light a torch and rest. Oy, 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 oy. Okay, so here's the issue. A quick rest only gives back willpower points, which he hasn't spent. So he has to do a stretch rest, and that's going to advance the timer. He does a short rest that only lasts for 1 stretch of time. During a stretch rest, you heal D6 hit points, or 2d6 hit points if someone else is tending to you and succeeds with a healing roll during that stretch rest. And he can do that in the solo version. So he is going to have to take the stretch rest, which means that he can do an additional healing roll in this stretch rest, which is, 20 minutes, half an hour, something like that. It is going to advance the timer. We're going to advance the timer to 3. Brutal, brutal, brutal. Stretch rest, he heals d6 HP or 2d6 if he heals himself, which he, again, is able to do, but he's still rolling with a Bane. Wait. When you rest, you also recover D6 willpower points and heal a condition of your choice. Do you heal that? You know what? I think he still has to take the Bane on the roll to himself because he won't heal that condition until the end of the rest. So he will heal a condition of his choice, but first he's going to roll this healing with the Bane, which he, of course, fails. So he only gets back D6 points. He gets 5 back. That is pretty good, actually, which means he's up to 9 now. And he heals a condition of the choice. It's going to be intelligence. He's no longer angry. He is just scared, which will affect his wisdom checks. Well, that was the second area. Now we're moving to the third area. Oh boy, this is much more harrowing than the first one, guys. The third one is also unknown. Ingolfr did not know anything about the third area. So let us determine what the area is. Area table 18, a twisting passage. See some details about that twisting passage. How many rolls? 1 roll, and it's going to be 1. It's going to be contents. Twisting passage contents 14. Ornate sarcophagi. Okay, it's a twisting passage, which means there's ornate sarcophagi. This is obviously part of a tomb complex. This could be, in fact, oh, that would be cool. Yeah, well, let's tie it back to that book that he found. So I think this whole area is part of an ancient tomb that got kind of lost to time and history. It's a tomb complex of this good king, but this area in the twisting passage, I don't think these ornate sarcophagi are members of the king's royal family or anything, just because, if he was to find the tomb of the king himself, it would be much grander instead of a twisting passage. But there are ornate sarcophagi, which leads me to believe that these were people of import. So what if these are sarcophagi of what if it's like the court wizards or the clergy, the priesthood or something that were buried in this area? And I'm imagining too that this tomb complex, huge parts of it have been completely blocked off by earthquakes and rock falls and stuff. So there's only certain sections of this tomb complex still available to be explored. But this is one that he's in now. And yeah, that's cool. I like that. I'm not going to dice for it. I'm just going to assume that this is some sort of like court magician or magician's assistants or apprentices kind of tombs that all served this good king. So that could be potentially dangerous. There might be magical traps here, but it could also be very useful. You might find something of use here as well. So there is no danger here. That is also true. There is no danger. That's a good sign. There's only contents. It didn't specifically say danger. Still, I think there is a chance, just considering the nature of this, wizard's apprentices. I'm going to weight it towards no, though, so I'm going to take the lower of these. Oh, extreme no. So no, there is no traps at all. Great, that's awesome. That means, I think, that if he takes the time to kind of search around here, he's going to find something of use, perhaps a magical device, magical bauble, something like that. We're not sure what that is, but let's find out. There are more than one, so here's the question. Does he take a stretch of time to search all of them and do a search roll, a spot hidden roll? Or does he just rummage through and scavenge? He's already been playing with fire here, quite literally. So he's just going to scavenge the area. He doesn't have to make a skill roll for this. We roll a d10 and we get 5, which is supplies. Well, that's the first thing. Roll d6. What are the supplies? 1. Bandages. Okay, well, he's got another bunch of bandages. I'll take it. But I also think that there's going to be something of use here. I think that there's going to be some sort of magical bauble. He's going to find something of use. I don't think it's going to be hugely powerful. Ooh, 5. It's formidable. So something of use that is formidable. Let us roll on the inspiration table. Attribute is going to be 7. It's a dangerous. Okay. 10. Dangerous knowledge. Dangerous knowledge. So it's going to be some sort of magical item, as we already know. Dangerous knowledge. It's a formidable power. It might be a wand. Oh, that's kind of, yeah, let's say it's that. Let's say it's a wand. Now, he doesn't know what it does, but it's formidable, dangerous knowledge, which means it's going to be very dangerous to use it, especially if you don't know anything about it, but it might prove of use later on, we shall see. Okay, that is pretty cool. There's no other dangers. He didn't take a lot of time here, so he can continue on. Oh, you know what? He did have a torch before. He needs to roll to see if that torch goes out. I totally forgot about that. It does not. He's fine. What is next? The Fool's Crossing. So this is something that Engulfer does warn him about. This crumbling bridge spans the breadth of the rift. Below, a river of magma belches smoke and fire. A small band of orcs encamp on the near side of the bridge. A barricade manned by cultists lies on the other side. The orcs siege the bulwark, but take no ground. There must be magic at work to repel these skilled warriors so handily. Excellent. Well, as he emerges, now orcs are not particularly friendly. There's no reason for them to look upon this dwarf coming up behind them as anything other than a threat. However, Engulfer knew that this was here. Thirdrum did rescue Gorum, an orc leader. I think it is likely, in fact, that Engulfer, seer that he is, told Gorum of this, told Thirdrum of this as well, and Gorum gave Thirdrum some sort of token of Gorum's authority to deal with these orcs, as Engulfer knew that he would. So, is that the case? I'm not just going to give it to him. I am going to dice, but I'm going to weight it in favor of yes. And the answer is yes. It is something that Thirdrum can use. So as he comes here, these orcs turn around and immediately are like, because I think what's happened here, this is a barricade up here. And I think it's a barricade, just a normal barricade of like barrels and crates and wood, just hastily erected like a low wall. Nothing these orcs should automatically be able to just break through, but there's obviously some sort of magical effect or something going on here that's constantly repelling the orcs and also probably preventing missile fire from going back and forth. So maybe some sort of magical wall, who knows? Nonetheless, Thirdrum comes in, and as the orcs draw their blades and approach him, he holds up this token, which is, I don't know, a tusk necklace or something bound with golden thread that, you know, is the necklace of Gorum. There's some sort of token of authority from the orc leader. And when they see this, it was a yes, they do recognize it, but I think that Thirdrum's still going to have to deal with them. He's not just going to be able to waltz right through them. He holds up the thing and he says, Hold! I rescued your leader Gorum. This is his token. He bids you help me through the breach, if you can. And I think one of the orc leader steps forward and says, Oh, cool, what's a dwarf like you gotta do against that barrier that we orcs cannot? What makes you think you're so special? You don't look like any wizard. No, he doesn't. But he does have this wand. And I think that Thirdrum produces this wand and says, Though I do not totally understand what this does, I am certain that its power can be used to defeat the barrier on the middle of the bridge. Maybe it can, I don't know. But the question is here, can he convince the orcs to work together? So he's produced the wand, which is going to give him a boon. He's got Gorum's symbol, basically, which is going to be another boon. So he's going to roll with 2 boons on this roll to see, which he kind of needs because his persuasion sucks. It's only 5. Here we go. He's taking the best possible roll, and he just, thank God, he does it. But he does convince the orcs to work together. So at that point, the orc says, All right then, Dwarfy, what is it exactly you've got in mind? We've been assaulting that barrier all day and we can't get past it. What's this magical wand of yours going to do, eh? Well, that's an excellent question. Is it going to help? Well, it's dangerous, it's knowledge, it's formidable. I think it probably will, but let's find out. Thirdrum says, Step aside, step aside. The orcs move aside. He could see the cultists jeering and shouting insults and curses from beyond this seemingly inconspicuous barrier, but of course there is something else going on. And in fact, just to prove the point, as they're jeering curses, one of the orcs fires an arrow and it sails through the air and just sort of hits some sort of invisible barrier and just deflects off and goes hurtling, sailing off into the darkness, plunging into the darkness below. Thirdrum, knowing he can't be attacked by ranged weapons, approaches and he brandishes the wand, and he has no idea how this works. Formidable power, dangerous knowledge. Well, will this wand work to bring down this barrier? That's my first question. Extreme yes. Okay, good. That's very good. That's very, very good. So the wand will, but Thirdrum is no mage. He doesn't really know how to use it, so he's going to have to roll. I think I remember reading somewhere in the rules that if you don't know how to use something, you roll languages in order to activate it. I think I remember that. I don't want to take the time to go through and read that, but I'm just going to assume that's the case, or at least it's the case with this particular one. Maybe there's some like mystical word on it that's like an activation word or something. He's not a wizard, but he sees the word and he tries to phonetically pronounce it out because he doesn't even know what language it's in, and he goes to cast it. Now, he sucks at this. His language is a 5. He's not going to get a boon on this because he has no idea what he's doing. Normally, I would give him a bane on this roll, but because it is an extreme yes that this thing can help, he's not going to get the bane, but he does have to do a regular roll, 5 or less. Oh my god, the dwarf's luck holds somehow, and he utters the word, and the wand begins to glow with this like yellow, almost like sizzling, crackling electricity, and he points it at the barrier, and this blast of electricity comes to it, and it's like shorting out whatever magical barrier is there, and it fizzles, and like there's a brief pulsation of white and blue light, and then one of the orcs, to test what just happened, fires an arrow and sinks into the arm of one of these cultists. And then the battle is on. The orcs rush forward. Thirdrum engages one of the enemies, and the orcs engage the other as they leap across the barrier, fighting against them. So this is going to be a battle with a cultist. He's a straight up minion level cultist, nothing special about him. Oh, and is there any improvised weapons in the area? Puddle. Interesting. Okay, well, let's assume that part of the barrier was like a crate of, or a big barrel of liquid ale or something, and as the barrier got destroyed, basically part of that barrel got cracked open and splashed forward this large puddle that now Thirdrum and this enemy find themselves in the immediate vicinity of. So if he wants, he can roll to trip the enemy, and if he succeeds, the enemy must spend one action and make an acrobatics roll to get back up. That's pretty good. Okay, we go to initiative now. Thirdrum has the army of 1, which means he acts twice. So Thirdrum is going to be acting, oh, terrible. Oh, terrible. The worst he could possibly do, and the cultist is on 2. So the cultist is going to go first. He rushes forward as the orcs press forward into his companions, and his skill is at 12, and he, oh my god, he gets a dragon. He gets a critical hit against Thirdrum. Oh boy. Okay, bad news. A dragon roll is required to parry or dodge. Well, he's got to try. He's going to spend his 10 to try and parry that. He's got to get the same thing. He does not. So he is unable to parry that. Roll double damage. 4d6 is the damage. Oh, you lucky dwarf. 3, 4, 5, 6 damage. Minus 4 for the armor is 2. Oh, you lucky dwarf. Maybe because of that puddle of water, the cultist isn't able to capitalize quite as well as he might normally have been able to do so on that. And now we go to initiative 9, and this is Thirdrum's attack. He's got a 14 with axes. He is definitely going to swing at the guy, and he's, of course, going to miss. He's not going to push the roll because he got terrible initiative, and let's just begin again in the next round. Okay, again, Thirdrum still has the advantage here because he does have army of 1. And also, he's got Unforgiving, which means if he spends 3 willpower points, he rolls with a boon on the enemy because the enemy wounded him. 4, the enemy's on 5, and okay, this is good. This is very, very good. So Thirdrum is going to act first. He's going to spend his 3 willpower points to roll with a boon against this guy. Furious that this guy had the audacity to attack him. He will hit the dude. Is the dude going to try and parry? I think he will. He sees the fury in Thirdrum's eyes, and he will parry the attack, but he's parrying with an axe. Durability is 9. Thirdrum's axe damage, 2d8 plus d4. Oh, wow. 15 against a hand axe. That is going to destroy the axe. If the damage exceeds your weapon's durability, the weapon is damaged cannot be used until it's repaired with a crafting roll. So he does parry Thirdrum's axe, but basically Thirdrum's axe cuts through it and cuts right through the haft and chops it in two. It falls to the ground. Dude is without a weapon, and now Thirdrum can go again. Well, he is going to try and topple him now, trip him using the puddle. Yeah. Luckily, a battle axe that Thirdrum is using has the toppling feature, which means the weapon grants a boon when trying to trip an opponent. An opposed roll between your skill level in the weapon you are using and the enemy's evade, and I get a boon. It's an action for me, but not for him. Cannot be dodged or parried. My skill's 14. I will succeed. That would have been a demon, but I'm not pushing, so it's fine. He does succeed, and the enemy now rolls on his evade, and he will succeed. So in fact, he isn't able to trip him, but that was his action for that round. Okay, now he can spend Veteran to keep his initiative of 2, which he's going to do, but he's not going to keep the initiative 4, which means he's going to cost him another will point. The enemy's going to go on 10, and Thirdrum's going to go on 2. So Thirdrum's going to go, first of all, on 2, while he's going to go to attack the dude, and the dude can only dodge now if he hits. He is going to spend another 3 willpower points for Unforgiving. So he's going to roll with a boon against the guy rolling on 14s. Well, luckily, he's not pushing. He doesn't have to because he does hit him. The guy can try and dodge, which I think he will do. And he will do it again. But now Thirdrum is going to do another 3 willpower points. And he's quickly running out of these things. To attack with a boon again on him, and he will hit. The guy cannot dodge anymore, so he's going to hit for 2d8 plus d4. And does the dude have any armor? He does not. Thirdrum is going to do 9, 10 hit points down to 2. Oh, that is a big hit, and that was on 4. I don't think Thirdrum's going to spend his Veteran willpower to keep that initiative because the guy has no weapon. He's in a very, very bad situation. So we're just going to roll the new stuff, and then we're going to determine how the orcs are doing against the cultists. So bad guys on 4, Thirdrum's on 6, and on 1. There we go. Thirdrum is going to swing his axe at him again without a boon. This time he will hit. The guy's going to have to try and dodge, and he will dodge, which means when we get to initiative 6, Thirdrum once again is going to swing using his thing, and he will hit. The guy can't dodge. So he's gonna hit him. This army of one thing is very, very good. He's going to take him out. Boom, down he goes. But he was wounded from this thing. How goes it with the orcs and the cultists? I think the cultists were taken by surprise by this. They did not expect this. So did the orcs defeat the cultists? I think I'm gonna weight this towards yes. The answer is extreme yes. They have slaughtered those cultists and dropped them, losing only 1 of their number in the process, and they are past the magical barrier. And I believe as well that because this wand was formidable, but it was also dangerous, I think that it basically expended all of its charges, and it is now useless. So it's been of use, but now it is no longer a thing. He's going to take a round rest. He just gets D6 willpower back for this. Can only do this once per shift. He's going to get 3 willpower points back. And I think he also has to take a shift rest. You can only have a stretch rest once per shift. Now, the question is, does he take a shift rest to completely heal? But if he does so, this is 100% going to advance, and his torch is going to go out. I think he's too wounded to do it. I think he has to because he's got big stuff coming up. He's got to do it. He's going to keep his torch going as long as he can, but it is going to burn out. At the end of that shift, he lights another one and takes his shift rest. It lasts 1 full shift of time, can only take place in a safe location where there are no enemies nearby. Actually, he does ask the orcs to stick around and guard his rest. I mean, they're indebted to Thirdrum now, as his presence has caused them to be able to break through this barrier and deal with these cultists for whatever reason they had. I do not think that their paths are parallel. I think the orcs and Thirdrum have different goals down here, so they're not going to go with Thirdrum or anything like that. In fact, they say as much, but they will give him that at least. So that's the only reason why this would be a safe location, because otherwise, there's no way. So yes, because the orcs have agreed to stick around and guard his rest, he will be able to do this. Recover all your lost hit points and will points and heal all conditions. It is safe, but that doesn't mean that there's anything wandering that could come along. Is there anything that wanders along? No, the answer is no. So in fact, he is able to shift. But yes, this die does advance to 4, but he is no longer wounded and he's got all his hit points and willpower back. Looking for high-quality fantasy maps for your next fantasy RPG campaign? Cheipeku has you covered. Get your hands on more than 4,000 stunning hand-drawn fantasy and battle maps that will take your tabletop role-playing games to the next level. Cheipeku are a couple who love to make maps. They create unique and original worlds with outlandish themes and ideas you won't find anywhere else. Whether your players are heading into a classic dungeon crawl or something a little more offbeat, like a coral throne room or a giant elder brain skull, Cheipeku maps have the imagination to match yours. Their archive is bursting with more than 4,000 hand-drawn maps, with new map packs added every week. Just head over to their Patreon, choose the Master Cartographer membership level, and you can get access to the entire lot. And if you can't find what you want, don't panic. Just let them know what you're looking for, and they'll add it to their weekly Patreon poll. Cheipeku's map packs come with variations for things like seasons, time of day, weather effects, and much more. So if your players spend hours in a tavern planning their next move, you can seamlessly switch from day to night. Level up the action with dynamic animated maps that set the scene for dramatic, campaign-defining encounters with the most formidable foes. Immerse your players deeper with swirling portals and writhing elderbrain tentacles. Cheipeku's fantasy maps work seamlessly on most popular virtual tabletops, including Alchemy RPG, Roll20, Encounter Plus, Foundry, Fantasy Grounds, and more. All of the maps are also available with walls and lighting presets for Foundry VTT, letting you just get on with the action. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to Patreon, choose your membership level, and get your adventure started today. That was location 4, and now location 5. This is something also that Ingolfr knew about it. He says, or he told Thirdrum many hours ago now, because the shift is like 6 hours. Beyond a ruined gate lies a courtyard fronting an ancient stronghold. Scores of cultists dwell within that fortress, but he've no need to take a direct route. Instead, descend the well into the tunnels below. Okay, so he emerges into an underground courtyard, and there, carved into a massive wall of stone in front of him and across the courtyard, is a fortress, and its walls are made of the sort of cliffside itself, although of course it's in a cavern, so the roof of the cavern is God how many hundreds of feet above, lost in the shadows and darkness. He's got to get from the entrance to this courtyard to the wells without being seen, but it is a shadowed courtyard, but the cultists are on guard and they're looking. Or are they? I made that assumption. I might have been wrong about that. Scores of cultists dwell within the fortress, so it doesn't say anything about them being vigilant. So maybe there aren't guards. I'm just gonna roll Die of Fate here. Oracle, tell me, Oracle. Are there guards posted? The answer is extreme no. So there's no guards posted, but he still has to get through the shadowed courtyard to that well in the center. And there might be other dangers in the courtyard which could alert the cultists inside. It does mean that as he slowly sneaks his way across the shadowed courtyard, he gets a boon on that roll because it is a shadowed courtyard and because there's no sentries around. Theoretically, that should be 2 boons, I think, but I'm not going to be that generous. He gets a boon on his sneak. If he fails this, he is discovered or he comes across some kind of danger, but he is successful because his sneak is 12. He is able to get across the shadowed courtyard to this well, and now he does not have a rope, which means he must make an acrobatics test to climb down the inside of the well as he was directed to do. A rope actually gives you a boon for acrobatics tests when you're climbing. He just rolls with no boon because he has no rope. So his acrobatics is 6, and oh my God, again, the luck of the dwarf pays off. Thirdrum is able to climb down the well without incident, leading into Area 6, the Ratways, also something that Ingolfer warned him about. These stifling tunnels afford little room for mistakes. Heed not the voice calling ye to refuge, for it speaks only lies. Follow the silent darkness, and into the cult's black heart ye will emerge. Oh, you know what? And while I see this here, there is something I totally forgot to add last time, and apparently this time, something called the Calling Stone, which Ingolfer gave Thirdrum at the beginning. These two stones are inexorably linked. Ingolfer asks to keep one in the Nameless Chapel, while the other remains in your possession. When you speak the activation word, your stone instantly returns you to the chapel. After teleporting, roll a d6 on a 1, the Calling Stone cracks and its power falters. So, he does have this. Totally forgot about that, because it's way down here at the bottom of the page. But he does have this Calling Stone, which is basically a quick way out. If something goes really horribly wrong, he can grab that stone, call on its power, and he will teleport back to the chapel, but it might be destroyed at that point. So he's in the Ratways, these tunnels. Oh, that's the other thing. We gotta check his torch to see if it goes out. Oh no, his torch has gone out. Oh no, that was his last torch. He's going to be plunged into darkness. This is terrible. He is going to have to find a way through this with no light. As he's making his way through these tunnels, he can hear the sound of rats everywhere. He can hear the sound of his own boots echoing, his footsteps echoing off the inside of these tunnels that go off left and right, up and down, everywhere. He does not see the glint of rat eyes because his torch goes out. Its fuel consumed, leaving him in utter blackness. And he hears a voice calling. And the voice says, "Friend, your light has gone out. Come this way, and I will relight your torch." Friend. It seems to be echoing from everywhere, but it seems to be coming from off to the left. Now, he knows that the voice, Ingolfer warned him that this voice is a lie, and yet he is without light. Follow the silent darkness, and into the cult's black heart ye will emerge. The silent darkness. So if he follows the instructions, he will ignore the sounds and he will try and blunder his way through the darkness, having no idea what's in front of him. Ooh, this is very, very dangerous. I think, due to his circumstances, he is in the darkness. He hears a voice promising him to give more fuel to his torch, to provide him light so that he may continue on his way. An old voice that sounds at once weak, but also inviting. And I think, is this a spell of some sort? I don't know, but I can tell you this, the Thirdrum is going to have to roll against his will. And if he fails this roll, he is going to give in to the temptation, even though he knows that this could be a lie. He'd be too scared to go forward in the darkness. Does he succeed? He does succeed. He is able to resist the temptation, but now he has to make his way through the darkness of these tunnels. Okay, this is going to be bad. I don't know if this is so much an acrobatics test so much as it is an awareness test. But it's going to take a long time to do because he is in the blackness. He's basically running his hand along the right wall, the left wall, trying to navigate through the darkness, trying not to step on anything, trying to hope that there's no danger that emerges from the darkness. His only guidance is to put the voice behind him, because Ingolfer said, "Follow the silent darkness and you will emerge into the cultist lair." So he's going to do this. He is going to roll an awareness. It's already taking time, so I'm not going to give him the Bane on this. If he was trying to move quickly and not advance the clock, then I would give him a Bane, but I'm not. He's just going to roll straight up awareness. If he succeeds, he's able to get through the tunnels without further incident. If he fails, there's something that happens. On the button, his awareness is 10. Amazing. He is able to slowly through long moments, perhaps stretching into hours, who can say, he emerges from the blackness of the Ratways into the ritual chamber. A wide pit occupies the center of this room, Ingolfer told him. Surrounded by scrawled, fiendish symbols, steam rises through the pit from the magma below, clouding the space in sulphurous fog. Ariok, the cultist leader, Ariok and a pair of cultist priests lair here in the midst of some vile ritual. Seize the shard from around Ariok's neck and make haste to return. This is the pit and the magma flaring up and smoke and haze and all that kind of cool stuff here. I think Thirdrum emerges here. Now, I think the cultist is up here on this ledge doing his ritual. I think another one's over here, and I think another one's over here. So before we go too much farther, let's just see if there's any cool improvised weapons. There's a crevice. Well, yes, there is. A crevice, a crack in the rock. Not a crevasse, which is a giant crack in the rock. Roll to trip the enemy. If you succeed, the enemy falls into crevice. Oh, I love that. We're going to have crevice faux show. All right, where is this going to go? It's going to be from the center. Somewhere from the center, I'm going to roll a d20 and use the triangle of the d20 to determine direction. It's going to be this way from the center. So the crevice is going to be like right there, we're going to say. Steam rises through the pit from the magma below, clouding the space in sulfurous fog. So there's lots of heat haze and shadows and smoke and everything like this. They are engaged in the ritual, and there's so much smoke and haze here. I think that for a sneak attempt, I'm going to give our dwarf the boon. 12s. With a boon, he does it. He does sneak his way across here unseen, but in order to get up close to him, it's going to be tough. And look at this. There's shadows and stuff, but the dude's right there. No, it's going to be a straight roll. The boon and the bane are going to cancel each other out. So he is sneaking up to this guy to try and get at least towards this crevice area here to trip the enemy into the crevice. But can he do it? He does not do it, which means we would have to go to initiative unless he chooses to push. You know what? We're going to do it. We're going to push. We're going to become scared because this is a scary environment. Is he going to do it? Oh, he still blows it and he's scared anyway. So as he's leaping across this little crevice here, oh no, they see him and we go into initiative. So the high priest is going to be on his own thing and he has magic, okay? These two cultists are going to be on their card. They're just regular dudes. Thirdrum is an army of one, so he gets 2 cards. So let's do Thirdrum's first card is on 3. Very good. Thirdrum's second card. Actually, let's do the cultist leader is on 2. Oh no. So he's on 2. Thirdrum's second card is 9, and the regular cultists are on 4, which means that the leader goes first. So the leader has seen him. Oh no, he is torn away from his ritual. The World Breaker shard around his neck. NPC attack table. He is a magic attacker. What does the High Priest do? 3. A magic bolt. The NPC casts an attack spell which inflicts damage against a single target. So his skill with that, he is a boss. His skill is going to be 15 as he sees Thirdrum come up, but I think he grasps the shard and chants some words and basically extends his hand, and this bolt of energy goes shooting across the chasm towards Thirdrum. Does it hit him? It does, unless Thirdrum can dodge out of the way. That was the leader. I think Thirdrum is going to try and dodge out of the way. Does he evade this thing? He does. So he leaps out of the way as this magic bolt goes smashing into the rocks. Now it's Thirdrum's chance to possibly use this crevice right here as this guy is right there. Roll to trip the enemy. He's got a toppling weapon. He does get a boon on this. Okay, so he's going to do that. So he runs up. This crevice is right here. He sort of leaps over it. Skill level of the weapon versus the enemy's evade. So does he trip him on a skill? No. This is terrible. Oh, I think he's got to push it. He's going to become disheartened. He's disheartened and scared now. Roll again. And he will succeed this time, but the dude does get an evasion. His evade is 12. Oh, look at that. It is a 20. It's a complete fumble. If he succeeds to topple, the enemy falls into a 2d6 meter deep crevice and suffers falling damage, and climbing up requires an acrobatics roll. But you know what? Because it was a 20 and there was so much magma everywhere around, he trips and falls into the magma. And gets killed immediately. That's the value of fumbling that. But it did cause a disheartening condition onto Thirdrum. Oy, 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 that was him. And now it is this guy over here. Does he have a missile weapon? I have no idea. Let's dice to ask the Oracle. Yes, he does have a missile weapon. I know he's got a short bow, let's say. So he's going to move up here and he's going to fire at Thirdrum with his short bow. His skill in that is 12. And he will hit with a piercing weapon. And Thirdrum cannot parry with the shield or dodge because he's out of actions at this point, so he's going to be hit by that. 2d6 damage, it's piercing damage, which doesn't have any effect against his chainmail. 3 damage, very, very lucky. And now we go back into a new round. Is he going to spend a willpower to keep this with his veteran? I think he will. This army of 1 is extremely valuable when you're playing solo. Like without it, you'd be quickly dead. So, Third Drum's second action is on 9, the High Priest is on 5, and the other cultist is on 8, so Third Drum goes first. Well, he has a move of 8, which is 4 squares, which is not quite enough to allow him to get up there and leap over. I think, but he has to do an acrobatics check to leap over here. And this will actually be his whole action too on 3. And he fails. He needs to push. Let's push his... he becomes angry from this. Oh my God. And he tries again. He still fails. All right. Well, it's not a fumble, so he doesn't topple into the magma and get killed immediately. But I think he runs up and he's forced to stop right at the edge and stop himself. And he gets angry. He's angry, scared, and disheartened all at the same time. But that was his action, unfortunately, trying to leap up and over, but he couldn't do it. Which brings us to the High Priest. What does the High Priest do? We have a chart. We roll on here. A magical attack is going to be 5. Arcane Shield. The NPC automatically summons a shield which decreases incoming damage by 2d6. To maintain the shield, they make a skill roll as a free action every subsequent round. Actually, his armor isn't going to be 4, his armor is going to be 2, because magic users can't use metal armor in this game, so I think it's appropriate that his armor is only 2. But he does have this magical shield, which is going to increase 2d6, but he has to roll a skill roll to maintain. Which brings us to this cultist. This cultist has a bow. He's going to fire at Third Drum on 12, and he will hit Third Drum, but Third Drum's going to try and parry it with his shield, which he does. Piercing attacks can never damage a piercing weapon or shield, so he is able to, but that takes up his action. Sunk, sunk, to parry, boom, but he can still move as part of the action. He is close enough now that this is going to be, he doesn't have to roll to do it. He can just leap up as part of his movement, and he's going to spend a willpower to keep that one. So Third Drum's second is going to be on 5, the High Priest is on 10, and the cultist is on 7. Excellent. Third Drum is going to turn to this cultist that wounded him with the short bow. He's got a short bow, so he can't parry with it, he can only dodge, and he's going to spend his willpower, his 3 willpower points, 1, 2, 3, in order to gain a boon on the Unforgiving trait. And he's attacking with unbelievable. He misses. He misses. Oh, is it worth it to re-roll both of those? I think it is. So he's going to become sickly because of this, which means the choking fumes of the magma sort of engage with him, and he starts to hack and cough, but he is able to steel himself enough to roll again with a boon. This time he will hit. The guy has not acted, but he can't parry. He can only dodge. I'm going to say that his dodge is not great. His dodge is going to be at 6. In other words, it is a skill that is not relevant to his particular ability. Parry would be, but dodge is not, which means he still succeeds, but he uses up his action. That was on 3. So the dude has dodged. Now Third Drum is going to attack again. He's going to attack this guy again because he knows he cannot dodge out of the way, or he could attack the cultist and force him to try and defend himself, but the cultist has this natural magical shield, although Third Drum doesn't really know that. I think Third Drum is going to go after the guy that hurt him. He's going to spend another 3 willpower, rolling with the boon against the dude, and he will hit him. The guy cannot defend anymore, which means Third Drum does his 2d8 plus d4. This cultist has no armor and 12 hit points, which means he's going to do 7 damage to the cultist, putting him down to 5. Okay, that was Third Drum on 5, which brings us to the cultist. He is standing there with his magical shield up in front of him. What does he do? He Magic Blast casts an attack spell which inflicts 3d6 damage against any targets within 10 meters. Any targets within 10 meters. Is he going to do that from here? He's going to move first to do that. Oh, but he can't, because if he moves, he has to do an evade check. Okay, all right, yeah, because he can't blast this spell right here, or everybody's going to be caught in it, including himself. In order to withdraw from combat, so the roll does not count as an action. Okay, so he is going to move over here, hop down, but he's got to do an evade roll. If he fails the evade roll, the High Priest, is evade part of his regular skills or no? The answer is no, it is not. So he is rolling on 8 to evade, and he will fail, which means as he moves, Third Drum gets his free attack, which does not count as an action. and it can't be parried or dodged. That's good to know. All right, so Thirdrum gets his free attack coming in on the guy as he's moving, and he will miss. Unfortunately, I don't like this dice. Got to go back to my good old yellow one. But as he moves down, he blasts an area, which unfortunately is also going to hit that other cultist who can't dodge it either. So Magic Blast inflicts 3d6 damage against any targets. None of them can dodge. Oh, 3d6 damage. Let's do against this cultist, who of course is down to 5 hit points. How much does he take with his no armor? He's dead. He gets blasted and goes falling off into the magma. But Thirdrum is also going to be hit. He will get 4 points of armor here. Okay, he will take 8 damage from this. He's got 2 hit points left, folks. 2 hit points left from that horrible, horrible, horrible attack on 10. Is he going to spend a willpower point to keep 3? He absolutely will. He's running out of these too. What is the High Priest on? 4. What is Thirdrum on? 5. So Thirdrum goes first. He leaps down as part of his movement and as an attack. The guy is not... Oh, he has damaged him. Does he want to use? Yes, he does. 1, 2, 3. He's only got 1 willpower point left after this, but he's going to roll with a boon against the cultist, because the High Priest, because he's damaged him with his magic. Rolling on 14. Oh my God. Cannot push a demon, which means that it was a boon, so he'll take the better one, so he will not fumble. It just means that I can't push because it's a demon, so he just fails to hit him. Unbelievable. That was terrible. The High Priest is next. What's the High Priest gonna do? 6. Mystic Mysteries. The NPC casts a spell of unknowable origin. Roll for action and thing on the inspiration table and interpret the spell's effects. Okay, he casts a spell. Craft device. Craft device. You know what it is? He casts a spell which puts a magical sword into his hand briefly. He conjures a magical sword into his hand that can cut through armor. Can it cut through armor? I don't know. Let's ask the question. Can it cut through armor? Oh, yes, it can totally cut through armor. No problem. Okay, that's bad. Why did I ask that question? Why? Okay, well, that's what he does on his round. Thirdrum can now go again. He cannot spend willpower on Unforgiving because he's only got 1 willpower left, and he desperately needs this, so he is just going to roll straight up with his axes, and he's going to hit. He cannot... the enemy cannot dodge, but he does have his magical shield up, so 2d8 plus 4 damage is what Thirdrum does. Actually, let's see what damage is reduced first. So 5 points of damage are going to be reduced from this. And he does 8. So 8 minus 5 is 3. The cultist leader has 2 points of armor, so he takes 1 damage. But I had to... maybe he doesn't have this. He has to do the free... I forgot. Let's go backwards. He has to do the free skill check to see if he maintains the shield. He does. Okay. So he did maintain the shield. Actually, he had to do it twice, I believe. And it worked anyway. Okay. So he still has the shield up. He's maintaining it. Brutal. Bad. Terrible. Okay. That was Thirdrum on 5. I think he's got to spend his last willpower point to keep that initiative of 3. Oh, man. Thirdrum's down to 2 hit points and no willpower points against a cultist who's shielded with a magical weapon that cuts through armor and has only taken 1 point of damage. What's the cultist leader on? Oh my God. Thirdrum. Okay, cultist leader goes first. Free check to see if his shield stays up. It does. What does he do? D6. This is looking really bad. 3. What does he do? Magic Bolt. Cast an attack spell unless he can dodge. Okay, so he's going to cast a spell. Actually, you know what? I don't think I had him roll for the skill check. I might have forgot to do that, which is an unfair advantage against Thirdrum.
Thirdrum is also going to be hit. Okay, he will take 8 damage from this.
I might have, but I can't remember if I did. I'm not going to go back and check. I'm just going to assume he has to roll. Boom. Does he do it? He doesn't. He misses, which is great because this gives Thirdrum 2 chances to hit him. He cannot drop on his dwarven, unforgiving nature. He's going to roll with his axes at 14 for this first one, and it's going to hit. No dodge possible. D8 and 4, but it's going to be minus the magical protection. So, oh, that's a good roll. 9, that's 15 minus 2 for the armor is 13 minus, oh, another 8 is 5 damage. So that puts our guy down to 14 hit points. Bang, it's a good hit, but not a debilitating hit. That was the first one. He can go now on 9. He will do the same thing. He will hit again. No dodge possible. He's rolling his damage with his axe, and he's, oh, that's terrible. That's terrible. Well, 6 minus 2 for the armor is 4 damage, and then minus 2d6, nothing done. No damage gets through, and now he's out of willpower, which means he can no longer use his veteran special ability. He goes back in the initiative order just like any old chump. Bad news. Although the cultist is down to 14. So that's not the end of the world. Now it comes down to initiatives. Okay, I'm going to Thirdrum first. Thirdrum's first one is on 9. High Priest is on 5. Thirdrum 10. No, this is terrible. This is terrible. Free skill check for the cultist to see if his his shield goes down. His shield goes down, but he has armor piercing sword. His shield goes down now. He's going to swing that magical conjured sword at Thirdrum, and he will miss. That's good, because that armor piercing would go. Thirdrum couldn't parry that because this magical sword can cut right through armor, including any shield. So it's very good that he missed. It's very good. Very good. Thank you, green die. Which brings it to Thirdrum on 9. He's got a series of 2 attacks. Come on, buddy, at 14. He's going to hit just barely. There's no more magical shield here. Okay. That means he's only got 2 points of armor against that. It's going to be 11 damage coming through, which puts him down to 3. And his second attack now on 10. Come on, buddy. He's going to hit again, which means 2d8 and a 1d4. Only 2 points of armor now, and he's going to do 7, 8 minus 2 is 6. He had 3 hit points. He kills the cultist and knocks him down dead somehow. With 2 hit points remaining, no willpower. The magma is bursting forth. So, okay, somehow he survived. Somehow he survived. Now, the first thing Thirdrum does is reach down and grab the shard off his neck, because that is what he is here to do now. If he stops to search the area to do a proper spot hidden, that magma will erupt. He's at 2 hit points. He cannot take a chance, but he can do a quick search before he gets to hell out of here. What does he find on the body? 8. 1 treasure card. I will take the treasure card. And what is the treasure that he finds? A silver brooch. Ooh, that's not great. I mean, it's something. It's valuable. Here's the problem. He has no torches left, so he cannot get through. He cannot get out of here safely without spending time. Because if he takes time, the magma will erupt and he'll have to deal with that and probably kill him. However, luckily, I did notice that he still has the calling stone. So he grabs the stone, he utilizes its power, and it teleports him out of this area back to the chapel at the edge of the breach there in front of Engulfer. But the question is, when he uses his stone, does it destroy its power? We roll a d6, and on a 1, the stone cracks. It does not. He has escaped with the Worldbreaker shard and a silver brooch and this tome on this peaceful king, this ancient tome. And he's just barely made it out. Okay. First of all, let's determine how much this silver brooch is worth. It is worth 2d6 times 5 silver. That was 6 times 5 is 30 silver. Is the book worth anything to Ingolfer? Ingolfer the Seer, that I'm going to ask. And the answer is extreme yes. Yes, in fact, it's going to be worth the value of a treasure card. I'm going to roll one. I'm going to draw one randomly. Gold coins, it's going to be worth 2d6 gold coins. That's the book. So he's going to hand that over to Ingolfer for a total of 7 gold coins. Experience. Oh, again, I forgot to roll whether he, or to mark XP when you rolled a 1 or a 20, and I can't remember whether he did. I'm going to assume that one of those axe strikes was a 20, so I'll tick that off. I might be wrong, but that's okay. You know, you got to give yourself a little forgiveness when you're playing solo. And then you gain 5 advancement marks for skills of your choice. Acrobatics is 6. Do I get over 6? I do, so it goes up to 7. Awareness is 10. Does it go up? It does. It goes up to 11. Evade is 13. Does it go up? It does not. Languages is 5. Does it go up? It does. It goes up to 6. Okay, the axes. Got to roll over 14. Nope. Axes doesn't go up. And slings over 6. Yes, slings goes up to 7. Okay, so he will go back to Outskirt and see if he can buy anything of use. I don't think he can. He doesn't have a whole lot of money. 11 gold is not a ton, because to buy gear and armor costs a lot of gold, and he does not have it yet, which tells me that I'm going to have to be maybe a little more careful about searching for treasure in the next outing, because I need stuff. I need better stuff. I need magical items. I need all kinds of stuff, because even from this mission alone, I was on the edge, man. Like there was very resource intensive. I almost didn't make it out a number of times, starting from the very beginning. So I need to make sure I take the time to try and search for treasure. But of course, every time you take the time, you have to advance your threat die, and that can be a real problem. Anyway, that is the second part of Alone in Deepfall Breach. Thanks for joining me. If you do want to help support the show, please do hit like and subscribe, or consider supporting us here on YouTube by becoming a YouTube channel member, or joining us over on Patreon. Thank you so much to all of the people who have done so. Your support really makes all the difference. If you do want to help the show, consider doing that. Also, sign up for the newsletter, or consider buying some merchandise from memyselfanddie.com on the store link. All of that stuff is linked in the comment section below. And other than that, we will see you on the next episode of Alone in Deepfall Breach here on Me, Myself, and Die. Oh my god, again, the luck of the dwarf pays off. You know, it's so funny, this yellow D20, normally when I'm rolling this dice, it tends to roll high. I used to use this die all the time when I was running Palladium, for those of you who don't know my unique interpretation or pronunciation of that word. When I was running a Palladium game years and years and years ago, this die always killed the players. This one always rolled 20s, but for some reason it's rolling low here, so thank you, yellow die, you're coming through again.